What if the Manhattan Project had been sabotaged? Imagine a single moment when everything changed, a moment when the Manhattan Project, America's secret effort to build the deadliest weapon in history, had been sabotaged. No atomic bomb, no Hiroshima, no Nagasaki. Could a single act of sabotage have altered World War II's outcome and shaped a completely different world? In today's alternate history dive, we'll explore the short-term and long-term impacts of such an event. Would the Allies still have won the war? Or could the balance of power have shifted to the Axis? Stick around as we explore this what-if scenario that questions the very fabric of modern history. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more journeys into alternate timelines. To understand the gravity of this what-if, we need to explore why the Manhattan Project was so critical. Beginning in 1939, the United States, spurred by fears that Nazi Germany might develop nuclear weapons first, launched a secretive program to create the atomic bomb. Led by scientists like J. Robert Oppenheimer and Enrico Fermi, and backed by the combined resources of the US, the UK, and Canada, this monumental effort cost over $2 billion and involved tens of thousands of workers. Despite its scale, the project was never immune to vulnerabilities. Espionage attempts by the Soviet Union, accidental leaks, and internal dissent were all real threats. But what if something more catastrophic had occurred? What if a dedicated saboteur, whether from the Axis or even disillusioned insiders, had destroyed key facilities or delayed progress indefinitely? In the immediate aftermath of sabotage, the most significant consequence would have been a delay, or outright failure, of developing the atomic bomb. This delay would have reverberated across the Pacific theater, leaving Japan unscathed by the devastating nuclear attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. Without the atomic bomb, the Allies would have had only two choices: continue conventional bombardments or launch a full-scale ground invasion of Japan. Conventional firebombing, which devastated cities like Tokyo, would likely have intensified, causing untold civilian casualties. A mainland invasion planned under the codename Operation Downfall was projected to cost anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million Allied lives, not to mention even higher losses for Japanese soldiers and civilians. The lack of a swift resolution could also have extended the war by months or even years, delaying peace and increasing wartime suffering. More concerning, a delayed victory could have benefited the Axis powers. Although Germany surrendered in May 1945, a weakened or preoccupied Allied force might have given remnants of the Nazi military an opportunity to regroup or execute guerrilla tactics. Meanwhile, Japan might have gained a bargaining chip, attempting conditional surrender terms in exchange for sparing lives. Could sabotage have changed the Allied outcome entirely? That brings us to the next big question. Despite sabotage, the Allies had significant advantages in manpower, resources, and industrial production. However, certain scenarios could have tipped the scale. Japan's refusal to unconditionally surrender rested on the promise that its emperor's authority would remain intact. Without the shock value of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, it's possible Japan would have held out longer, forcing wider destruction and delaying Allied occupation plans. This delay might have given Japan time to explore alternate tactics like mass kamikaze strikes or intensified guerrilla warfare. What about Germany? Although largely defeated by mid-1945, sabotage of the Manhattan Project could have delayed post-war accountability, such as the Nuremberg trials or Allied consolidation in Europe. Worse, it might have bought time for unimplemented Nazi projects like advanced rocketry or chemical weapons to emerge. Some historians even speculate that a prolonged Allied effort in Japan might have triggered rivalries between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union sooner, fracturing cooperation and shaking the fragile post-war unity. The implications of a sabotaged Manhattan Project wouldn't stop at WW2's conclusion. The absence of nuclear weaponry would reshape the post-war world in profound ways. History as we know it is defined by nuclear deterrence, the delicate balance where mutually assured destruction prevented global warfare between superpowers. Without the Manhattan Project's success, this balance might never have existed. Would the Cold War have escalated into open conflict with conventional weapons filling the gap? Or would the absence of the bomb have delayed any notion of a superpower altogether? The vacuum left by America's failure might have inspired other nations to fill the gap first. The Soviet Union, already infiltrating the Manhattan Project through spies like Klaus Fuchs, might have reached nuclear development ahead of the US. Was the Cold War destined to happen regardless, with even higher stakes if the Soviets achieved nuclear capability first? This also raises the chilling question: could remnants of the Axis powers, particularly Germany, have reignited their own nuclear ambitions in the post-war years? The sabotage of the Manhattan Project would have slowed technological progress, not just in nuclear weapons but across multiple fields of science. The peaceful uses of nuclear power, energy generation, cancer treatments, and scientific research may never have advanced as early as they did. The ripple effect could have left humanity decades behind in these areas. In contrast, the absence of nuclear advances might have shifted wartime and post-war innovation toward other military technologies. Could we have seen strides in conventional bomb-making, chemical warfare, or even space technology filling the void left by nuclear physics? Perhaps the most unsettling question is, what if the sabotage had provided enough time for the Axis powers to create their own nuclear weapons? Early in the war, Nazi Germany pursued nuclear development, though limited resources and fractured leadership derailed the program. If the Manhattan Project had faltered, could the Nazis have revived their efforts, delivering a weapon faster than anticipated? A German bomb would have been catastrophic. Imagine London or Moscow suffering the same fate as Hiroshima. The shockwaves of an Axis-controlled nuclear weapon could have extended the war indefinitely or forced an Allied surrender. Japan lacked the resources to develop nuclear weapons during the war, but sabotage could have extended their timeline enough to pursue technology exchanges with experts from Germany or other occupied regions. Could that collaboration have changed their fate completely? The alternate history of sabotage isn't just a technical or military question, it's a moral and ethical one. If the bombs weren't dropped in 1945, the world might never have reckoned with the destructive potential of nuclear weapons. Would this ignorance have been a blessing or a curse? Without the Manhattan Project's success, the debate over war crimes, civilian casualties, and the ethics of mass destruction might have appeared in different contexts, but no less urgently. Despite the fear of sabotage, the Manhattan Project succeeded due to its extraordinary secrecy and coordination. There were real risks: Soviet espionage, individual dissent, but no catastrophic sabotage ever occurred. Perhaps this resilience reminds us of how close history came to folding along a different path. And so we return to our hypothetical scenario. What if the Manhattan Project had been sabotaged? The war might have dragged on, consuming countless more lives. The Axis powers could have gained time, or even swung the balance in their favor. Post-war dynamics could have shifted, leading to an entirely different Cold War, or one that never ended. But what do you think? Could a single act of sabotage have rewritten the story of World War II, or were the Allies' resources and ingenuity too overwhelming to be derailed? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if exploring alternate histories fascinates you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join our community for more deep dives into the past that could have been.